baby. We live in Brooklyn, baby.
Hey, hi, this is Insanity Check Radio here. I'm Skillet Sauce, and that's Ken, and Beats is behind the boards today. Hello, Beats. Hi.
Yeah. Let Beats tend to the engineering. Welcome back to the show. If you're here with us last week, you were blessed and graced with a very interesting topic. We've gotten some interesting feedback from that, and
yeah, that is true. I did get some pretty interesting feedback because of that. But most of it was verbal. People actually text me or called me, and I had one pretty good discussion about it. As a matter of fact, with a person that white, that was totally confused.
Male, female.
One was male, one was female.
Oh, okay.
And it was weird because the male understood.
You have relations with both of them?
No, you motherfucker. No, neither. The point is, the dude, he sort of understood the different variances of the connotations of the word more. He was, in other words, he was less confused. Mm-hmm. He was less confused. The female was like, well, I'm never going to use, I just can never use that word. I just, basically, I'm just going to play it safe, and, you guys can sort out the multiple meanings of the word and so on and so forth. So, I just thought it was interesting to see across the gender barriers which one was more, I guess, understanding of the the multi-uses of, the nuances of the word,
Yeah, I had the same response to a white female, or from a white female, rather. Mm-hmm. She's just basically like, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
However you guys get down, that's good for you. But, I'm going to stay over here.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the response that I got for the female. But the dude, he was like, yeah, fuck you, nigga, something like that. He was just being stupid. But no, it was just very interesting how it played out, and I'm pretty sure that's a subject that can go on forever.
Yeah. But rest assured, far less controversial stuff will be heard today.
Oh yeah, just pretty.
We're back to our normal, bizarre and strange and at least interesting topics of conversation.
Yeah.
Today we're starting off with. Several shows ago we discussed, pink slime. And its origins, its purposes, uses, and there was actually debates about whether it was a good thing or a bad thing.
Before Congress, they were trying to discuss, that pink slime and how it's not harmful to humans and all. But because they use too many things like may not be. I didn't hear any absolutes. If you're dealing with food, it's like it may not. And I don't feel too comfortable about that, but. As you're saying, this particular story is...
Yeah, it's along kind of the same vein. In the wake of pink slime, we bring you meat glue.
Meat glue. Something called transglutaminase, which is a bonding agent that's been used to literally bind meat together. And there's multiple uses for it. Obviously, the debate comes in, which is basically the good uses and the possible bad uses, and the pitfalls that one could, encounter if they receive this sort of reconstituted meat and cook it improperly. So, it was just something I had. I'm always going through the cooking channels and stuff like that, and also looking at recipes and things like that. So I always stumble across weird things like this. And you see, I remember you were telling me about this restaurant where these guys are doing these really scientific things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, see, those guys embrace this meat glue because they're like, man, we're like visionaries. We use high science, what was that stuff? Liquid nitrogen and all sorts of stuff like that to make these incredible, fantastic science dishes, like something like Stephen Hawking would probably make if he can get up and walk around. And so I thought this was pretty interesting. But the first video that I saw sort of painted it in a negative light because of how, and this is where the bad element comes in, how a supermarket or a food chain could sell you this stuff as if it is top sirloin or top cut. Mm-hmm. And not let you know that this might be 4 or 5 different pieces of meat glued together.
Like your standard hot dog.
Oh, and actually, yes, they do use it for hot dogs. That's how they can get extruded like they could literally, when they do it well, they could have 4 or 5 different pieces of meat bond together like bologna. And they basically referenced in one of the articles, because there's a bunch of articles on it, referenced it and said they can make it look like Oscar Mayer bologna, literally.
So does the video give the origin, the backstory?
Yeah, it gives the origin, it gives the backstory. It shows you a quick breakdown of how it basically looks. Beats, do you have the picture of Beats is under the table. Hello, Beats. Beats, are you on there? Beats is down there, y'all. You like right below where our.
And he's actually showing us his ass.
Yeah, I mean, like
Beats.
literally, he got like
take that shit.
Plumber's crack and the whole shit. This dude, this is what happens when you do shit for the first time. He's down there with mad plumber's crack underneath the damn thing. What is wrong with you? Yo, so do you have the picture with the meat glue? The picture, okay, and like you realize there's like lotion and like shea butter and shit you could use for the ashy crack. You know, just for your own edification. I'm only messing with you, man. I'm only messing with you. You don't have to, put no moisture on your crack. But
is the picture up?
So is the picture up? So that basically is the picture of, and it's just a bag. This is a bag. The stuff looks like white powder. And I just want to read you just a little quick little thing. It just says, transglutamase is safe. It will not harm you or glue your hands together. It is deactivated by most cooking techniques and imparts no off flavors to the foods. There's some debates on, whether or not you can taste the difference or what have you.
So when it's deactivated, so it ceases to bond once you start cooking?
Well, I mean, no, you can, apparently whatever the bonding agent is, when it cooks, like how food would normally start to break apart, how you can cut it apart and stuff like that, it starts to behave like a natural steak then.
Oh, okay.
It won't be something like all of a sudden you hit this like Gorilla Glue, you hit this seam and you can't cut through the shit, because, you can chew it just like normal and so on and so forth. So that part was, absolutely, like I said, an innocuous thing that, and I was reading something else, and here's this, there are many types of transglutamase, including several in the body, TG for short, play a vital and necessary role in skin synthesis, blood clotting, the immune response, etc. You wouldn't exist without them. When TG are improperly regulated in the body, they are associated with very bad things like the plaques in the brain of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and Huntington's disease patients, as well as the development of cataracts in the eyes and a bunch of other things, hardening of the arteries and so on and so forth. So it's a natural occurring thing, but once again, we get into the evil that men do and the possible misuses, but let's go to that video. So, Beats, could you cue that video up?
The industry-wide secret butchers don't want you to know about. Major suppliers have been caught using a special product known as meat glue to stick together scraps of meat to sell as prime cuts. But while this product has been banned overseas, there's no law prohibiting its use here. Here's Rodney Lowe's with this special investigation.
It's the meat industry's dirty secret, a way of turning the scraps too small to sell as a premium steak back into a juicy, plump eye fillet to sell for a premium price. So clever, you'll never tell. Not even an expert can.
Before, you didn't even pick that as a join, though, did you?
It doesn't even tear through the joint. A bit hard to tell, isn't it?
Butcher James Faulkner runs Queensland Natural Beef Company, an organisation dedicated to using as few additives in meat from paddock to plate as possible. But tonight, he's exposing how some parts of the industry are able to trick their customers and use whatever it takes.
Yeah. I've just got some fine diced beef and my special enzyme. I'm just going to mix it up a bit.
Why have we got the masks on?
Because it's dangerous. See that? Don't breathe that in.
This powder is transglutamase enzyme, otherwise known as meat glue. Meat glues come in a number of forms, some produced by cultivating bacteria, the others, the primary ingredient comes from the blood plasma of pigs and cattle, specifically the coagulant which causes blood to clot. In the food industry, it has amazing properties.
So just got a little bit here, about a teaspoonful.
Yep.
Just over the top like that. And with our gloves on, of course, we mix it up.
Then roll it in plastic film and refrigerate. 6 hours later, you have a solid piece of meat.
And essentially you've got a reborn, rebirthed thigh fillet.
More or less, yeah.
Ours uncooked is easy to spot the difference, but cooked is another story.
Okay, so the meat glue one is on the right and the real McCoy is on the left.
And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish and chicken are all stuck back together using this glue.
It looks like one piece of chicken.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yep.
But hard to tell, isn't it?
Particularly that.
On the grill, it's even harder to pick.
So that's the real McCoy. Give this a burl. Nice and tender, nicely salted. All right, let's go for the meat glue. I can't tell the difference.
Pretty good, but potentially dangerous.
I've sort of got two concerns. One that is well publicised, which is misleading people. The other area is the microbial side.
It's why the European Union moved to ban meat glue in May last year. Microbiologist Glenn Pinner.
If this food is sold or represented as a solid piece of steak and you cook it rare, you're really leaving yourself open to get food poisoning.
Once you glue two pieces together, it's difficult to cook thoroughly those parts that were on the outside but are now on the inside.
The amount of bacteria on a steak that has been put together with meat glue is hundreds of times higher.
We had no idea how guarded a secret this was until we started contacting restaurateurs and butchers to ask them about the use of meat glue. Many of them didn't want to speak for fear of upsetting their suppliers, creating bad blood in an industry that has become very clever at using this product.
Are you just shaking your head?
A little bit. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
This cube roll we bought from a wholesaler that produces stuck-together steaks en masse. Their effort's so good, James, our butcher, couldn't tell even when it was raw. It's even harder in the restaurant, which are some of the biggest users of glued meat. And chances are, unless you're a vegetarian, you're eating it on a regular basis. But with current labelling laws, neither butchers nor your local eatery have to tell you you're eating chicken glued together with cow's blood or beef held together by pig. It's the same reason they can take low-grade meat and pump it with water and flavour to make it edible.
Okay, so just after about a minute or two, we've got quite a lot of moisture out of there. And we've lost almost half a kilo.
Then the practice of selling mutton as lamb and old cow as prime cut beef. Like this. So old, a meat grader said it was only good for pet mince.
You've got yellow fat colour, really dark meat colour. It's definitely off a really old type of animal.
In New South Wales, new labelling regulations have just been introduced to help consumers choose quality meat, but it's not compulsory. So for most of us, picking a quality piece of meat is still a shot in the dark.
Well, that was educational.
That was also interesting, and the thing is, I'm positive that I've actually eaten steak with that, and I always eat my steak medium rare, so that is definitely a concern. But before we even touch upon this even a little bit, we got to go to our first little break.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be right back after that. Okay?
2 minutes.
We're trying to make it, baby.